Hello, Tiger Nation, and welcome to the first episode of the Greg Ruffin Show. Alongside the namesake of the show, head coach Greg Ruffin, I'm Joshua Jackson. Coach, when you took the job back in December 15th to be exact, it just seemed like it was forever and a day for us to get to this point. Now we're sitting at less than a week before we get set to kick off a brand new season and a brand new era of Tiger football.
Well, it was an eternity, it seems like, but it went by fast. I'll say that. When you look back, it was December the 15th. I remember the press conference and talking to the kids and all the different, things that went along with, getting in here and getting my feet wet and but we're excited. Like I said, we're four days and some change out, and the guys have really been working hard. We're banged up a little bit, but that's to be expected. We'll pull back a little bit, but man, we're excited about this Saturday night's football game.
And not just your team being excited, but the entire campus community and this area around Kings Road is just very excited and chomping at the bit. You've really helped to galvanize this community to really get behind this football program as we get set to move into the new Nat Glover Stadium next year. But for what we've got going on right now, you've really got this area excited about the potential of this 2018 season.
Well, I think the involvement that the players and the program has had as far as our community service, some of the things that we've done, our outreach, and what we're trying to do is, we can't ask people to come watch us play, but we not be involved. It's one of those things. Is one of the key things that I always say to them is not what we have, but what we give, and we want to continue to preach that to the guys. We want to continue to show it, and it's one of those situations where we're not giving because we're expecting something. We're just giving. You know how it is when you give. You don't know how the good Lord's going to give it to you. And you don't do things, in terms of waiting on a returning in the investment. We just got to continue to invest in our community because, that's just what's going to gravitate people to us. They got to see us getting out there and doing things with the kids, doing things with the senior citizens, doing things in the school system. We had a chance to go over at Garden City Elementary. Great day over there on Monday morning, with the guys welcoming the kids back to school with the jerseys on. The kids were excited, took photos. So, we got to do more stuff like that. I mean, and you'd be surprised how the kids feel about themselves when they able to give back, just little things like that.
As we look at your team right now, of the over 90 guys that are on the roster, it's going to be a young football team. We've talked about that at length in previous shows. You're going to have a lot of guys starting their first college football game this coming Saturday, but to others it may be a daunting task, but not to these guys. They're tough and they're ready to go.
Yeah, and we won't use youth as an excuse. That's not going to be in our toolbox, excuses. So we're going to strap it up, and we're going to make mistakes. We're young, but did we make that mistake going 100 miles an hour, or did we make that mistake going 50 miles an hour? It's all about effort. One of the things that we always tell them, give them a lot of things, but we can't give them attitude, we can't give them effort. They got to bring that, and as long as they got that, it's our job to put them in a position to be successful.
Well, Glenn, we'll take our first time out, and when we come back, we'll take a look at the 2018 offense. You're watching The Greg Ruffin Show.
From the press box to press row, the premier sports talk show placing major emphasis on HBCU sports. Host Donna Ware will take you on a journey each week through the world of HBCU sports and pro sports with such guests as...
Let's welcome Serena Williams.
And of course, Donna Ware's insights.
This will be one of the best matchups ever.
To listen to the show each week, visit us on the web at www.boxtorow.com. From the press box to press row, real sports talk.
Are you exclusive? Got a big event? Need hair? Well, contact Exclusively Pure Hair for 100% authentic, unprocessed virgin hair for the exclusive lady. 972-510-4403 or check out the website at www.exclusivelypurehair.com for the exclusive woman.
The opportunity and wonder if I ever had a chance with you. Romance and dance with you. Posing a professional picture, take a stand with you. Activate your lady glance, be the kind of man that...
Welcome back to the Greg Ruffin Show, Coach. Let's take a look at the 2018 offense. Again, a young team. We'll start off at the quarterback position. You brought 8 guys in. Coincidentally, all of them are freshmen. But you kind of whittled it down to that top 3. And one thing about it, despite their youth, they've got cannons for arms. They can really be accurate guys and can really lead your team to a lot of wins this season.
I think, right now at the quarterback position, being 4 days and some change out, I think that we're in a situation where there's anywhere from 2 to 3 guys that could potentially take us there. I had my mind set on naming a guy, by now, but the events from last week's scrimmage has told me that I'm probably going to name a guy on this Thursday.
Okay.
But you're looking at a guy like Rashard Branch, guy Derek Jones from right here at Robert E. Lee. Of course, Rashard is from Plantation. You got Jayshawn Francis, out of Monticello, Florida. David Smith out of Loganville, Georgia. So, we got some guys doing some good things. The problem I'm having is, one may be a little bit good at this, and one may be, and then it seems like they're just taking turns switching. And then the next day they're bad at it, and the next day the other guy's good at it. So, but I know we're going to have to whittle this thing down, and we got to start with someone. So we'll let that be known Thursday, and then we'll get rolling from there. We'll
take a look at the running back spot now, and Richard Montgomery's been a guy who's really been chomping at the bit to get on the field. Hasn't been on the field for a couple of seasons now, but has been in the fold here at Edward Waters for the past couple of years. He's a transfer from the University of Idaho, a Jacksonville native, and he'll be one of the bell cows for this offense running the football. And to be able to have a guy with his pedigree back there in the backfield for you to go along with a young freshman like a Corey Hammond and some of the other young freshmen that you'll have, it's really got to be a great thing for you to really help you out this season.
Oh, I think right now, when you look at what Richard brings to the position, he brings leadership. He's a kid. He's always on cloud 15 out of 10. He brings a lot of enthusiasm to the program. And like you said, he's a kid that played at Idaho. He scored against Florida State, 3 years ago, and did some great things. Very, very phenomenal talent, but just some things off the field wise that's kept him off the field. He's finally eligible. I think it's a chance for him to really prove his worth, and I think he's chomping up a bit to do that. Corey Hammond, I think there's not a difference between the two. Corey Hammond's just a little taller than Richard, but man, he can fly too. And experienced kid, played starting tailback for Miami Northwestern last year as they won the state championship. So Corey Hammond ain't scared of nothing. He's a little thin, and that scared me at first, but man, he runs the football, and he runs it hard, and he can run in between the tackles. He gets in, gets outside, has number sideline. He's going to be the real deal here, so I'm excited. And then you got Jarkevis Best, a kid that, he's been probably one of the bigger surprises, him and Spencer Carter. They're scat back type guys, and then, of course, Jaquez Pelham being a 230-pound pounder, kid out of Fort White. So we got some things to work with at that position. So I'm excited about the running back position.
We'll take a look at the wide receivers and tight ends, and again, that's another big, long, rangy group that you'll have. Guys like a Javard Williams, but still Spencer comes back for his junior campaign, who was a second team All Mid-South Conference selection, had about 900 yards in receiving last year. So you got some guys with some size and some guys who can really get behind some defense this year.
Well, I think the biggest thing, we got to continue to get better at that position. I think we have some length at that position. I think we just got to continue to develop our skill set in terms of getting off press coverage, running the correct routes, reading zone coverage, being able to sit down in the windows and things like that. Of course, we'll be young at receiver, but you got some kids over there that can play. We moved Tiberius Horn from quarterback to receiver. He's a 6'2" kid that can fly. We put him out there in one practice. He flies down the field, lays out, catches one, and it's like he's been practicing at receiver all camp. But that just goes to show you the athleticism that a kid like that has, And that's something that we were looking at. Of course, Jonathan Hayden, also a big quarterback who's going to start getting some work at tight end. He's 235, 240 pounds, about 6'2". So, having those different kids with those different skill sets, it allows us, you know, as we start coming down to the push of it, to be able to move them around into some places where we still can take advantage of their body types and some skill set that they have, you know, as far as playing other positions.
And we'll wrap it up with the offensive line. Your starting offensive line, as of the depth chart, is going to average just a shade under 300 pounds. You're going to have one of the bigger offensive lines that have been here at Edward Waters in quite some time. So, and of course, as we talked about in some of our previous episodes of Inside the Huddle, if you're going to win a lot of ball games, you've got to be able to win the battle up front. You've got some size, you've got some experience, you've got some inexperience there as well, but you've got a good mix in that starting five of some starters, guys that have played football here at Edward Waters, and some guys, some inexperience, but a lot of talent up there up front.
Well, I think going into this Saturday, that's one of the areas that I really got to have to see the most improvement. You know, I think we have a great defensive front, especially young guys. But I think the biggest thing is, I mean, if I had to say there was a position where the jury's still a little out, because we have our good days, we have our bad days, and I think that could be you know, predicated upon some of the injuries we've had and the nagging, you know, the groins and the hamstrings. But hopefully, you know, as we continue to progress through the week, that we can see that position finally get healthy. Because, you know, at the start of camp, you know, they really, you know, they had some things going on where they pushing some guys around, but we're so beat up right there right now, and I'm hoping that as we get into, you know, this Saturday, I think, you know, we took them to the beach last week, allowed them to get in that water and get, you know, some of them got their legs back. So we'll see today. And like I said, if there's a position that I really need to see the most improvement, I would say it would have to be at offensive line. Then I would say at the receiver position, and then, of course, at the quarterback position as we move forward.
We'll go ahead and we'll take another break, and when we come back, we'll take a look at the defense as you're watching The Greg Ruffin Show.
From the press box to press row, the premier sports talk show placing major emphasis on HBCU sports. Host Donna Ware will take you on a journey each week through the world of HBCU sports and pro sports with such guests as...
Let's welcome Serena Williams.
And of course, Donna Ware's insights.
This will be one of the best matchups ever.
To listen to the show each week, visit us on the web at www.boxtorow.com. From the press box to press row, real sports talk.
Are you exclusive? Got a big event? Need hair? Well, contact Exclusively Pure Hair for 100% authentic, unprocessed virgin hair for the exclusive lady. 972-510-4403 or check out the website at www.exclusivelypurehair.com for the exclusive woman.
The opportunity and wonder if I ever had a chance with you. Romance and dance with you. Posing a professional picture, take a stand with you. Activate your lady glance, be the kind of man that...
Welcome back to the Greg Ruffin Show. Coach, you convert over to a 4-2-5 defense this year under first-year defensive coordinator Ryan Lewis Sr. You've got a lot of experience, a lot of talent there. You've got a really could very well be, if you're eventually going to go Division II, you got a Division II defense on your hands right now.
Yeah, I think, you know, over on that side of the ball, we got some kids can fly. But, I mean, what's phenomenal about it, we have probably the best young linebacking core I've ever had as a head football coach. And I've had a couple of good ones at Shaw and at Payne. But, I mean, man, you talk about Aaron Louise, you talk about, you know, kid out of Miami Northwestern, you talk about Elijah Spivey, who has All-American potential. You know, I swear by those guys, man. They're tough. I mean, and when we're blitzing, you know, they're tough to deal with. You know, they're young kids with a great football IQ. And they bring pressure. They can play off the edge. They can play in the box. They bat balls down in coverage. I mean, I think that's been probably the biggest improvement from the spring. We weren't very good at linebacker. Of course, Shaquille Stoudemire didn't come back. He would have been the only returning linebacker we had with a significant amount of experience. But I'll be honest with you, I don't miss him. With the way these young guys are flying around, and that says a lot about who we're dealing with. But just think about it: Miami Northwestern, Jacksonville Reigns. Those two kids won state championships last year. So the pedigree that they bring to the program and to the position, man, if I could find 20 more like them, I'd be looking for them tonight.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Let's take a look at the defensive line, Coach. The two guys in the middle, the Baker County twins, Tavion Reed, Brian West, those will be the guys who are more likely to get the start up there in front of the interior tackles. Right. But they are just two huge young men as freshmen that are going to come in and really affect a lot of things positively for that defense. They've really given the offense that they're over the camp. They've really given them a lot of fits there. Yeah. Those two guys in the middle.
Well, the one thing about it is, what's the common denominator in those guys and the guys I just talked about?
They played state championships.
They played in the state championship last year. So we're not talking about kids that don't understand the importance of what we're doing. These are solid kids on and off the field. They're actually cousins, but man, I'm telling you, they bring it. And and they have a great football program over there, especially in strength and conditioning program. These are kids that have come in this program, and they're stronger than the kids that were already in the program. You start looking at kids power cleaning 325 and things like that. So I mean, can we find more guys like them that's right around the Jacksonville area? Though we're looking for those kids. I mean, you talking about Clay and Duval and all, and all the surrounding. Now, Nassau, all the surrounding counties around Jacksonville. I think, there are kids just like those kids that if we get this thing rolling, there's no reason why they won't say, you know what, that's a good decision for me to go over there. If it's good enough for them, it's good enough for me.
Absolutely.
And so they're great ambassadors for the program going forward in terms of what we want to do by representing the 904.
And you talked about the linebacker core a few moments ago. Let's take a look at the secondary now. And you talked about you being excited about the linebacker core. I'm really intrigued about this secondary because you've only got about 10, 11 seniors on this team, but just about everybody in that secondary has played some significant football here at Edward Waters, and they've really adapted to the defense that Coach Lewis has brought in and have really stepped up and really shown a lot of leadership on that side of the ball as well.
Well, we moved out Frederick Tyson over to safety, played corner here in the past. He's a 6'2", almost 6'3" kid that can run. The biggest thing with Tyson is, when you looked at him on the film when you first got here, you didn't see a kid that was very physical. He was long, and he may have been being wasted on the edge, but he's gotten better and better. And in the spring, he was probably one of our most improved football players from a physicality standpoint. Because you started out kind of, but he was thinking a lot. And so once we told him, hey man, just run and strike people. This is a tough man's game, and man, I can't say enough about what he brings at the safety position coming downhill. Devontae Whitaker, another Jacksonville kid, transferred in from Vermilion Community College in Ely, Minnesota. He's a 6'1", 6'2" kid, about 210, run and strike here. Kennard Mahomes, Boogie's done a great job of settling in, because sometimes it's, when you take over a program, sometimes it's not so much as a kid can't play, it's where he's playing at, and a lot of times, coaches, I learned this at Jackson State, I remember going there in 2006 and we cut about 50-something kids. And then I'll never forget, we cut a linebacker and we were sitting there and watching a volleyball game one night, and he had a Mississippi-Alabama game. Well, that's one of the, top all-star games, in high school football coming. So I'm like, man, what are you doing? He said, well, Coach, I played in this game. I said, played in what position? He said, Coach, I played fullback. He said, Coach, I'd never played linebacker in my life till I got here. I ran a 4-5 flat, and they moved me to linebacker. So here's a kid we cut and who's really all-American type fullback, but by now we've cut him, we moved on, and I learned something from that. My whole thing was, what else can he do? What else can he do? Until you run out of options, because there's a reason why he's here. you know, but you got to run out of options for me to be able to get rid of a guy. I've been that way over the last several years, and so when you look at, you know, a kid like a Mahone, you take him in from the corner and you move him into a Tiger, because now, you know, he's a guy that he's aggressive. Since he may be a little too bit over aggressive to play on the corner, but aggressive enough to come downhill and slam the door in somebody's face in the box and cover the flat and do some things like that. So I mean, you know, it's not an exact science, but you got to have a method to your madness. And I think, you know, when you start looking at, you know, the way he was moved, the way Tyson was moved, I think, you know, you're starting to see some things that it's going to show that these kids can play some good football.
Absolutely. We'll take our final break, and when we come back, we'll take a look at St. Andrews and get you set for the 2018 season. You're watching The Greg Ruffin Show. Welcome back to the Greg Ruffin Show, Coach. We talked a lot about how Edward Waters is young. Coincidentally, St. Andrews, the team that we'll be playing in our first game this Saturday at 6 o'clock over at University Christian School, they're a young team too. They are playing their second season as a varsity sport, but they're young. They're going to run the option. They're an athletic team, and they're going to be really trying to come in and really trying to ruin this first game here this Saturday.
Well, I think, you know, when they look at our program, you know, we were 0-10 essentially last year. They won 2 football games in their first year ever having football. So I don't think there's a factor where they come in and they say, you know, we got to play up to these guys. I think they're coming in with a mindset that, hey, man, this has perennially been a doormat football program. We just started. We won more games than they did. I'm not saying that they're going to disrespect, you know, what we got going now, but I just think, you know, when you look at it, and I know I would as a player, they didn't win a game and they were established. We won 2 games. It should only get better for them. But, I mean, you know, we hit the reset button. But one thing I noticed by looking at their roster, they got some turnover from last year to this year. There's still a lot of freshmen on the roster. So when they had over 100-some kids last year, they may have brought only 40-something or 30-something back. So at the end of the day, I mean, you know, it's going to be an intriguing matchup because it's 2 young football teams. And of course, with us not having film on them and them not having film on us, you know, because looking at their deal, they were a 4-2 team last year, but, you know, looking at their 2 deep, you know, they're in a 3-4 team. So now we're looking at an eye front football team. We're looking at an eye package, but they still can run the eye out of it, run out, you know, downhill and do some things like that. So we'll see. You know, I mean, it's going to be a filling out type of deal, especially when you don't trade film. That first 2 or 3 or 4 series, it's going to be you know, let's see if they do, how they line up to this, and they'll be doing the same thing to us, and you'll start to see the game kind of take shape around the end of the first to the beginning of the second quarter. And the ending condition will play a factor in it as well as you know, you start to get more plays in.
Coach, final couple moments of the show. I'll go ahead and give over to you, let you talk to the fans about getting them to come out this Saturday to this big contest at 6 o'clock at University Christian.
Well, I think this Saturday is the most important football game in the history of our program. And I say that because it's the next game. And it's a chance for us and it's a chance for the kids to be able to come out and really show their wares. You know, they've been working hard, and we want to make this an exciting, hard place for people to walk in when they walk in our venue, because at the end of the day, all roads leads to Kings Road when we get our new stadium up, and whatever tone and attitude that we set over here at UC this year, that's the same kind of tone and attitude we need to take back over here to Kings Road when we put our own little palatial place up and then some. So I you know, it's a situation where we think we got a chance to do some things phenomenal. We got a chance to get this thing turned around. But boy, we sure can't do it alone. It takes everybody.
Absolutely. Kickoff will be at 6 o'clock p.m. over at University Christian School. If you cannot make it to this Saturday's game, don't worry. We'll have coverage on the Black College Sports Network. It'll be at mybcsn.net/EWC. Again, mybcsn.net/EWC. We'll have kickoff coverage at 6 o'clock p.m. on the Black College Sports Network. For the head coach, Greg Ruffin, and for all those who make this broadcast possible, I'm Joshua Jackson. We'll talk to you again next week for another exciting episode of The Greg Ruffin Show.